Well, our timing couldn't have been better with our last update in Polkadot, in which we were calling for a lower low in the C wave of our larger wave 2 correction as pictured here. Well, it turns out that we actually called the bottom that day. We didn't go any lower, and we have rallied since that day, as has the rest of the crypto sector. So we're calling that a bottom for the wave 2, and it's a very unorthodox bottom in which we had our 5-wave rally that topped around September 6th, just as with most of the other cryptos. Then we had a crazy drop right into support for our A wave, and we had a choppy B wave that went higher than the original wave 1 top. So this is what we call an expanded flat in Elliott wave theory. And since then, we had what we call a truncated C wave, in which the C wave actually didn't go any lower. There's also another name for this. It's called a running flat. So you could call it a running flat, expanded flat, running expanded flat, any way you cut it. We have been very bullish ever since. We had what I'm calling a 1-2 here. This actually has a 5-wave impulsive structure, and then a microwave 2 pullback that looked very corrective, very choppy, and then on to the subwave 3. Our supports below are not really relevant just because we didn't get anywhere near them. So I'm calling our support 2561, which is marked with this red line right here, which is right at the low that we hit for the wave 2 bottom. Polkadot, of course, rallied more quickly and harder than most other cryptocurrencies, and therefore we actually surpassed not only the 0.618 extension resistance, but also the 0.764 extension resistance. So we just peaked right above that, and typically you don't see the price level come back below the 0.618 support once you surpass the 0.764 resistance overhead. So I'm setting a kind of a tentative support at this orange line, which is right at about 41.17. I don't expect this to break. It may peak a little below that, but all in all, that is going to be the support. Now, the last time we had an update, I was strongly recommending buying because things started looking really scary. And if you bought then, you're probably feeling really good right now. Of course, as the rally progresses and we get higher and higher in our price levels, it becomes more and more risky to keep buying. So keep that in mind when you do try to buy a lump sum. I'm not going to prohibit it altogether. It's still not a bad time to buy considering where the rally is going to go. If you've been dollar cost averaging, well, again, that's the best approach, and it's the best way to keep invested as a rally ensues. In our big picture view, things have not changed very much. A lot of our projected return percentages are going to look less impressive now, but that's because we've already come such a long way since our last update. So keep that in mind. Polkadot, of course, has less history than most of the other cryptocurrencies I've been analyzing. For that reason, this would be a higher risk cryptocurrency, but our structures are looking really clean right now. We have what I'm calling a 1-2 here. This is a little trick for relatively new assets, such as brand new stocks that just went through their IPO or brand new cryptocurrencies. You typically see a big blow off spike and you have a precipitous drop after that. What I do here is I assume that that's a 61.8% retrace. And with that, our overall wave 1 top in April earlier this year did almost hit the 0.618 extension of that. A lot of these Fibonacci extensions that I've drawn based on the actual structure do align very well with the larger theoretical structure that we have here. And I have a logarithmic Fibonacci extension tool built out over here to give us the extensions as projected off the existing 1-2. Provided that we hold support, our subwave 3 is projecting to between 139.40 and 186.13, and those would fall within this purple box. If we hit the 186 mark, that'll be a 3.5x return from where we are at this moment. But there are lots of significant resistances overhead. The aforementioned 0.618 resistance is at 62.77. May take a little bit of time to get through that. There's another resistance at the $96 mark, and then finally at the $191 mark. Because this coincides with the upper target for the third wave, I actually see that as being a very likely top for the subwave 3. After this point, expect a slow fourth wave consolidation, and then our fifth wave 2 will take us through a minefield of significant Fibonacci resistance levels. The standard projections are targeting between 222 and 297. However, because of these Fibonacci resistances overhead that have great confluence, and because of the history of Polkadot, in which we seem to extend much higher than the standard expectations, I would not be surprised at all by a fifth wave blow off, as I have reiterated in our previous updates on Polkadot. If we hit the 1.236 extension of the larger structure at 381, that'll give us an 8.5x return. There's also a great likelihood that we could get all the way to the 1.382 extension of the larger pattern, which would get us to 583. Finally, you'll notice, of course, that this subwave 5 purple box has a lot of range to it, and that's, of course, because we can't narrow this down until we get a bit more of a rally structure to project from. But we have a target that's realistic, as high as 1161, which is the 1.618 extension of the larger pattern. That would get us to 1157 for a potentially 26 to 27x return. What happens after this top? As with all the cryptocurrencies, expect a pretty good drop after that point. I'm expecting this top to coincide with a major top in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and those two cryptocurrencies should undergo a colossal pullback that may last several months or even years. I don't expect the same kind of drama in most altcoins, but that would probably be a great place to take profit and reallocate into other assets such as equities or even stable coins. In short, Polkadot is one of the most bullish looking cryptocurrencies out there right now. And if you do plan to load up on more of it, I would strongly recommend using dollar cost averaging to spread out your buys over time as this thing climbs up. If you'd like to keep updated, please remember to subscribe. And if you enjoyed my video, don't forget to like. Until next time, thank you for watching. Happy trading.